1988 is turning into a bit of a weird year for horror movies. I mean, we just talked about what I would consider a disappointment in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and this is also the year we got Jason being bitch slapped by Dollar General Carrie, as well as Tom Atkins slanging D, which is what he does, while he chases around a maniac cop. Now, Return of the Living Dead was one of my absolute favorites when I was a kid. Absolutely adored it, everything about it. But my question now, as we rewind back to Return of the Living Dead 2, does this movie live up to the predecessor? Let's hit that rewind button and find out together. Who the fuck transports trioxin gas while only using one single pull strap to secure it? I mean, you got to keep in mind, this is the toxin, this is the compound that they nuked the entire town of Louisville, Kentucky over in the first movie. And here they've got a pothead driving the truck after it's secured by Bumble the Boy Wonder. Our fucking tax dollars at work, right? This is all shown to us after a quick rundown of what happened the last time around in a fun movie with a damn fun cast and some zombies that seem silly by today's standards. You know, we've got Walking Dead, we've got Last of Us. Zombies probably shouldn't be cracking jokes and ordering takeout, but even still, Return of the Living Dead was a banger, and I had very, very high hopes for this follow-up. Now, of the 3 barrels that were secured like shit and bounced around the back of the truck, only one of them manages to fall out, and it ends up in like a sewer drain that they had in the movie It. If you remember the movie It, that big giant thing that the boys would go into to get into the sewer, that's where this barrel ends up. Nothing leaks out of it, at least at this point in the movie, so we look to be okay. As long as nobody tampers with it, because nobody's going to happen upon this thing, right? And then I remember the kid from the movie very well, because he's a kid after my own heart. He slides into his comic book stash, but then we see he's only doing so to ultimately bribe the neighborhood bully, maybe into not beating his brains in. The bully seems happy, receptive, just giddy to bring him onto the gang, but for nefarious reasons. They're hoping to lock this kid into a mausoleum for whatever weird purpose. Ultimately, though, the boys would find this barrel, and then they end up locking the kid into a crypt anyways, the pricks that they are. Now, imagine my surprise at this point in the film when we see Tom Matthews and James Karen back for this movie. Now, I think this is very well done because the characters that they play in this movie are different from the ones in the first movie, because the ones in the first movie die rather horribly. Now, Tom Matthews' character name is Joey, and Joey is dating Brenda, who is played by another 80s mainstay, Suzanne Snyder, of Weird Science fame, of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. She had a busy 1988. And then James Karen is playing a guy named Ed, and the two guys, Ed and Joey both, are grave robbers. Perfectly perfect for this movie. In fact, it's this pair of grave robbers who end up helping that kid named Billy beat feet out of the mausoleum that they are entering to rob stuff. I don't understand robbing off of corpses. Maybe they do bury folks with their jewelry and their riches, and maybe this is a real thing. I don't know. Wouldn't be the first thing I would go look to do with my spare time, but they're going in a mausoleum. Billy winds up making out of the mausoleum, gets home to his sister Lucy, who is jazzercising in the middle of the living room, wearing spandex. Meanwhile, the bullies wind up back at the barrel, tinkering with it, all before they get a face full of that musty stuff, and onto a cemetery the rest of that gas rolls. Now, the next scene, what popped me here is the cable guy shows up. And keep in mind, it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. No cable man shows up at this time frame, unless they make adult movies that start out that way. But this guy shows up, recognizes Lucy, introduces himself as Tom Essex, and boom. When I was a kid, because my dad's name is Tom, my last name is Essex. Naturally, my dad's name is Tom Essex, so I look over at him. Just kidding, he was never around when I was a kid, but that was my dad's name, and I thought that was legit. I wasn't a big fan of My Old Man, but a horror movie with characters that I love and somebody close enough to me in the movie, it's just absolutely loved. Even though, absolutely love it. Billy escapes though, as Tom and Lucy are having a conversation. Billy winds up making it out, checks on the sick bully for some reason, and then he goes back to the barrel of all places to get the number off of it to call the army, because I get it. You want somebody that knows what to do with this situation and come and handle this situation. But what he does wind up getting face to face, meeting with Tarman, because we've got another Tarman here, climbs out of the barrel and he is looking hungry for some brains. Now, Billy winds up outsmarting him, pushing him down, running away. And, with the grave robbing duo and Tarman back, I'm kind of digging these blasts from the past. So thus far in the movie, I'm seated for it. Now I say that, but at the heart of this, it's the same movie as the first one. Basically, Joey and Ed are in there raiding tombs when the gas comes rolling into the crypt, causing them to get sick and the dead that are inside there with him to become reanimated. Because of this, at this point, you don't really feel like Brenda is long for the world. She does a lot of spinning around. She does a lot of screaming. In fact, a big significant part of this movie is rampant screaming and crying, and that shit annoyed me to no end. The dead begin to rise, and all these zombies are a tad on the goofy side. They were really goofy in Return of the Living Dead, and they're probably 3 times more goofy here. We've got a girl climbing out. She can't really see properly. She reaches down, puts her glasses on, smiles, and then finishes crawling out of the grave. Another guy's trying to crawl out. He gets there, then he gets his head stepped on. He gets pushed down further. And then he almost gets there, and he gets his head stepped on. He gets pushed down further. Our grave robbers did give us a little bit of commentary here that I didn't catch when I was a kid, but I thought it was pretty prophetic. They feel like this is karma for what they've been doing to the dead this whole time. Robbing the dead, and they feel like the dead have come for their revenge. And I dug that. I liked it. It's a throwaway segment of a silly movie, but I caught it here, and I kind of appreciated that little tidbit. Now, our grave robbers end up boosting Tom's cable van as the dead start to descend upon this town. And Mr. Essex, Lucy, and Billy end up tagging along with Joey, Ed, and Brenda, with our holdover actors getting sicker by the moment. Now, the military are very aware of what's going on in this latest outbreak in this town, but they make the decision to lock the place down. No one in, and for damn sure no one out. Then the 6 of them wind up becoming 7 when they need a car from a snarky old man who I believe is a doctor, and then we end up with another deserted hospital. Now, this one makes a little more sense, though, than the ones in Halloween 2 from 1981 and then Scream 5 did. Zombie outbreak and all that. I can see why people would flee. But this doctor tells us what we already know, in that Joey and Ed are as good as dead. And I got to give Brenda a lot of credit for not leaving her man on the side of the road. Even if it did lead to one hell of a headache for her later on, for those who know, This is a movie that I really remember loving as a kid, and as I watched it again here, I can't remember what I saw in it. I really couldn't. Obviously, having a main character with the same name as my old man was cool. And Tom Essex in this movie, the character, he's an absolute badass. He is the guy who is constantly pushing these people forward and towards safety. So he's a good character here. He's in the thick of it from start to Checkered Flag, but my cheat code after Friday the 13th Part 6 was Tom Matthews in 80s films. And you put him in something, and I'm checking into it. I'm at least tuning in, giving it a solid chance. He's forever our Tommy Jarvis, and I'll watch any of his stuff. But I was bummed with this rewatch because this story is sort of the same, but it's kind of dumbed down. The effects were okay, but less than. Cast was atrocious. I mean, aside from the folks that I mentioned prior to, Tom Matthews, and then, the holdovers like James Karen, I felt like this was a major step back. I mean, there is a steady 10 minutes straight of crying and whining from all 6 of the main characters that are on the run. And I get it. You're being chased by oddly aware zombies, making puns and witty little jokes, trying to chew on you. But sometimes in the face of these sorts of circumstances, you have to suck it the fuck up and shoulder on. To my dismay, this one's not going to age gracefully. This is a 5 out of 10, and it gets that grade mostly for Tom Matthews, Suzanne Snyder being an absolute smoke show, and James Karen being back. Aside from that, this was about as unnecessary of a horror sequel as you could possibly find in the 80s, and I stand by that. One of the worst things I've seen. Negativity aside, I do believe in positivity, but this was just not an enjoyable movie. Negativity aside, thanks for watching. If you dug it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, stick around, make me smarter, educate me, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video, tell me your thoughts on Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I would love to talk to people that actually enjoy this movie. I kind of want to see what they see in it. What did I miss? Hit me up, let me know. This is Aging Gracefully. I am Matthew Essex. I will see you wonderful, tolerant, amazing human beings on the other side.